touch the sky. The music hits, you can't deny. Tonight we live, tomorrow we shine. Oh, okay, well that hurt. Sometimes Carnival queen, she a dance all night. From borders, okay. We might. Oh, what's going on here? Okay. Welcome, welcome, welcome to this week's Echo. I'm Kimberly, and this is my lovely host, Rashona. Exactly. And today we are coming at you with a good one. We have Erin Simon here of Simon Family Investment Ventures, and she and her family decided to leave the United States in search of the American dream. And so we're going to have a lovely conversation with her about that and exactly what inspired them to do that and what their life has been like as they've been outside of the United States. So, Erin Simon, welcome, welcome, welcome to the show. We're so
Thank
great
you
to
so
have you.
much. It
Grateful.
is so good to see you guys again. Y'all know I call y'all the squad, right?
Yes, we're a squad.
We
We cousins. We
family. We
family.
family. We family.
And
Yes, the squad. So
so happy to have you live.
This is a privilege. This is an honor. I do want to tell the audience that I had the absolute privilege and honor of talking not just with you, but with the whole entire squad. So VK Crypto, NCB. I feel like I'm forgetting somebody.
Dylan.
I don't think I'm forgetting him. Ryan, that my little buddy. Part of the
Yeah.
squad, right?
Exactly.
So
Dylan in the
I
house.
just want to say BK Crypto for us, because that's his handle on our show.
Yes,
Dylan.
yes.
I know the squad's called VK Crypto Total, but what you guys are doing in Brooklyn, boots on the ground, spiritually, financially, this comprehensive healing for our people that you
Mhm.
take your time and do. To me, I don't if there was a word that was stronger than thank you and how grateful I am to know people like you who take your time to do that. I would use those words, right? So from my soul, from my husband's soul, we want to thank you for your service, because when you start looking at people's conditions today, they not only do they not make time for that, that's not even like a thought on their mind to really spend time doing something for someone else, because they feel like they need the help. Like, I need to focus on me. I can't be out here on
Mhm.
the street doing nothing. So what you guys do, just from one family to another, we want to thank you for the work, the service that you provide to those in Brooklyn. And I'm just going to say all over NYC. It is much appreciated, and I'm sure it's probably far too often overlooked. So let us say thank you.
Gratitude. Thank you so much, and I'm glad because everything's a reflection. This is why you're on Echo today, because we always like to ask, what is echoing in your life? And your story in itself has been part of our signature, our mantra, understanding about community and nation building. And you as a family and others have touched people's lives and doing what you're doing. And so for us, it's so important for our audience to see that whatever is echoing in your mind and your subconsciousness spiritually, that it can actually transform to something physical and actually happen. And so the first thing we like to ask our guests is, why did you invest in Bitcoin? Because that story, I know in itself, is going to take you into what you guys just created and birthed. I'm
Okay.
amazed by your story.
Well, first and foremost, I cannot possibly sit up here like
That's
a
right.
queen on the throne without giving my king his
Mm.
absolute flowers, right? He deserves flowers, gold medal. That's my Siamese twin. I always say my husband and I can join at the heart. Um, my husband changed my life. When I say
Mm.
changed my life, I mean I am the woman I am because of the man that he is. I don't know how to explain that, but my husband was the one who got me involved in Bitcoin early. He got started in like 2013. So he's kind of dabbling with it. He had a friend in the military. God forgive me, I cannot remember his friend's name. Vandenberg? Vandenberg. Thank you. You know my Siamese twin sitting there, right?
I love it. Hey, hey.
Right? Vandenberg, and he was a techie in the military. He was a techie, personally. My husband was a combat medic. We were in healthcare, right? I'm
Mhm.
in tech now, but my start was in healthcare. And it took about maybe 2 years before I started to not just get involved, but kind of start to understand what proof of work means. Like, what is this? The technology behind Bitcoin. We had paper wallets back then, y'all.
Yeah.
I didn't destroy the paper wallet with some Kool-Aid or something. Um,
It's real. It's real.
we didn't get divorced over it. Thank God, right? They freaked out. It was on the table and it spilled. So that's the cowboy days where we were a part of Bitcoin.
Mhm.
So why don't they laminate the paper wallets, right? Wouldn't that have been a smart thing to do?
Yeah,
Anyway,
right.
so I didn't really begin to have an understanding of it till about 2015, 2016.
Mhm.
So, and then like 2017, things started to make sense, especially when it went back down to like 3,000, right? It was
Yeah, right.
crazy.
I
It's
remember that.
crazy times. It's crazy
Mhm.
times, y'all.
Mhm.
But in no way, shape, or form would I ever sit up here and take credit for that life changing move. It was absolutely my husband, a black man, for those who are watching, lead to greatness. No, because there's a lot of poor rhetoric, poor narratives about
Mhm.
black men not being able to lead. My
Mhm.
black man leads us in a way to
I
me that
love
is
this.
innovative, it's
Mhm.
visionary, it
Mm.
is absolutely incredible, it's risk taking, right?
Mhm.
Yes. Yes.
Sacrifice involved. There's discipline that's very necessary, right? I never want to
Mhm.
romanticize the
Mhm.
significant beneficial outcomes that I get to enjoy. I never romanticize them.
Mhm.
It comes with a lot. And hopefully today, I hope we can discuss some of the reality behind wanting
Most
freedom.
definitely.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
So you were in search of freedom, freedom from the United States. What was your experience in the United States? What led you to deciding to leave the United States? Let's start there.
We had a, that's a mixed bag, honey. We had
Girl.
a lot of things happen. There was a time when I worked for the staffing agency. I was one of the consultants there, just like I am now, in a
Mhm.
nice dress, high heels.
Mhm.
And my husband just bought me a nice car. It's a beautiful
Mhm.
Mercedes Benz E Class.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I was pulled over. The car was reported stolen. You think my
Mm.
husband reported the car stolen? No, he's at work, right? Car is
Mm-hmm.
stolen, and I am face down on the ground, pantyhose messed up, knees bleeding,
What?
right? Side of my face got
Mm.
gravel. So we had a
Mm-hmm.
lot of police incidents.
Mhm.
Um, he's had plenty. I don't even have to tell his story. You're a black man, you getting pulled over. He's in a nice car.
Yeah.
My husband was
Mhm.
a firefighter for the Cincinnati Fire Department.
Mhm.
And they make a very good salary. I know
Mhm.
FD&Y, there's a lot of complaints about how low the salary is because it comes with that like reputation. But in
Mhm.
Cincinnati, firefighters, they start at like $80,000, right?
Mhm.
So he's been there 5, 6 years. My husband was making six-figure salary. He was
Mhm.
doing a lot. He was moving up.
Mhm.
So my husband again tried to buy me a car. It
Mhm.
was good morning, NCB Watton and Banner.
Yeah.
It's my Guyanese buddy. This is a Charger now, and of course, somebody. I had a car, two car seats, a booster seat and a
Mhm.
baby seat, right?
Mhm.
Children in it. Get pulled over. This is Cincinnati. Get pulled over. Something happened at a store around the corner, some type of robbery, aggravated assault, da 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 da. And I'm
Mhm.
looking at the police officer like, and you think I did that with a booster seat and a baby seat in the back?
Mm.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And what?
Go ahead.
Two pizzas?
Mhm.
Oh, and some pizza,
I
right?
believe
Dinner. I do remember that. Husband again, just trying to do all the stuff that these women want their husbands to do. Bought me another nice car. It's a
Mm.
Chrysler 300. and my car gets stolen. Got my little baby. I started, it's winter time, y'all, snow everywhere. Started the car, get out the car, just to zip my little toddler up because his coat's all crazy and wacky. Guy
Mm-hmm.
jumps in the car, takes it. And the police spent a significant amount of time trying to express to my husband that maybe I lent the car to my boyfriend and
Oh
my
my
boyfriend got the car back. And right. And thank goodness we live a very transparent life, right? I'm not the type of woman to come home and put his phone face down. Like he's got access to stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
you know that that's not the case.
Right.
And they didn't want to pursue it. And maybe it's
What?
because that happens a lot, right? Like I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
give them a little bit of benefit of the doubt. Maybe that
Mm-hmm.
happens pretty often.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, my husband now in the charger sees the car, has to chase the car down, and he
Mm-hmm.
literally got the car back for us.
Oh
Right?
Mm,
wow, really?
mm.
Yeah, he had to do it
Mm-hmm.
himself, right? He's
Mm-hmm.
got to protect his wife himself.
Yes, his
That's
family.
the police stuff. And then we have four black sons, and my husband wasn't crazy about raising his four black sons in Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm,
we end up moving to Florida,
Mm-hmm.
and what the vision that came to my husband was I want to invest 80% of the income, the revenue that we can drive,
mm.
and live 20% without sacrificing quality of life. Now, there will be choices, there will be trade
Yes,
offs.
Yeah.
I do
yes.
want
Mm-hmm.
to talk about those,
Mm-hmm.
but I think we can do it. And I'm looking at him like, are you out of your mind? He's like,
I
no,
do that by your man.
we can do it. So at first, he was looking at Ecuador, and Ecuador
Mm,
is very far away. At the time, I had elderly parents in Florida. My
Mm-hmm.
father did pass away while I was here in
mm,
Mexico, so it's good, right? I'm home in
yes.
2.5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So I was able to get home and stuff like that. His mother was also, she was a widow, right? Father passed away a long
Hmm.
time ago, so his mother's alone in Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
Ecuador was a little too far away.
Okay.
Yes.
So we decided on Mexico. And like when something's for you, it works.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's just
Alignment.
immediately. Mm-hmm.
I made a phone call. I was looking on like Craigslist or whatever, and I found like this job.
Mm-hmm.
And it turned out to be a great job. I was the human resource manager. Never been a human resource manager before. A private wealth management firm in Mexico
Listen,
City.
listen.
What?
When you talk about making a
Okay.
way, look, when you talk about making a way, look, won't he do it? Won't he do it?
I'm not right. And I made it clear, like, I've never been a human resource manager, but I know how to run business. So
Right.
Yes.
based on the way I did
I love
the
it.
interview with the senior partners, they
Mm-hmm.
was like, yeah, we want you and we're willing to pay.
Okay.
Now,
And they
granted,
paid
that
for your move?
market, in this market, they're not going to pay you like they would pay you in an
Of
American
course.
market.
Of
It's
course.
Right.
very
Right.
important. My
Mm-hmm.
results are not typical. I want to
Right.
make that clear because a lot of people think they
100%.
can come here and get a job. No,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? It was a British wealth management firm. So they didn't care about sponsorship and all of that other stuff. We're going to take you on. We want Americans anyway.
Okay.
Mm.
Oh, that was perfect.
So I utilized that as a way. To me, I utilized it, and like my husband has taught me a lot of things. He
Mm-hmm.
said they're not paying you what you should be commanding, but I
Right.
want you to look at this like they are paying you to learn new skills.
Mm-hmm.
And isn't
Mm.
that
That's your
abundant?
assignment.
And I
Mm-hmm.
said, oh, okay, that is a nice way. He is the king of reframing things for me,
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
right? And he always wants me to
It's
have
all about
that
the
abundant
mindset.
mindset. He
The
Mm-hmm.
wants me to
mindset
have abundant
transformation.
mindset
Yeah.
every day of the week.
Mm-hmm.
So he told me, look at it like a paid internship. You're going to learn new skills, things we didn't have.
Mm.
Um, and it absolutely was. I learned a significant amount of skills working there. The network and the physical networking we were able to do. We have a lifelong friend now that was a financial advisor there in the firm and so on and so forth. But I want to say when we started, we didn't start in this big, beautiful house,
Mm-hmm.
right? When we started, we had what you would consider a townhome. right? Where all of the, like the living room, the dining room, the kitchen was down at the bottom, and the 3 bedrooms were at the top. It was small. It was $310 a month. It worked.
Love it.
Huh? It did have a pool, very cold pool,
Okay,
but
look, thank you for the pool.
and that was the property that has the 7 avocado trees where we avocadoed
Oh,
ourselves clean out
oh,
because they were free.
I love it.
So next, I want to make it very clear that my husband lived in Guadalajara, which is a whole nother state. And I worked in Mexico City, which is Estado de Mexico, a whole nother state.
Mm.
It took
Yeah.
me 6 weeks to get back home to him. I
Oh,
had a
wow.
6-month-old. Santino was 6 months old at the time. So we're talking about the sacrifice now to make this work.
Mm-hmm.
Because we had secured the place and everything before I found the job. I did that on a whim just to see if anything would catch, and something did catch. I have to fly to Guadalajara. It's not like I can take, well, I could take a bus, so it's going to take 10 hours, but like I have to fly home to him.
Yeah.
You could imagine that the budget is tight at this time because we put all of our eggs in this is going to work because we're going to make it work. And we're going to make it work with an abundant mindset. So we're not going to look at it with lack. We're just going to look at it as any significant beneficial outcome that you are going to enjoy requires some discipline and some sacrifice.
Yes, definitely.
You touched on a lot of powerful, I say, energetic terminologies and things that really make people winners, right? First of all, it's transformational because of mindset. You had a partner, a life partner, who you respected and understood the power within him to help that baby. This is an internship. This is going to take us to the dream that why we left America in the first place. That's one. Because people think that, oh, it's not happening right away. You know what? Just forget my dreams, right? But how persistent are you when it comes to really making it better for yourself and your family? Two, right? You took a leap of faith. Let's be clear here, right? But you already had the information, the knowledge, and the wisdom because you was in financial management. And because of that, those keys that you already implemented within yourself open up a door for you. Yes, it was unique. Maybe it's not normal for everybody, but if they can take that openness to take a leap of faith and jump, things can open. And then third, you had a family and you were like, you know what? This is going to work. There's no going back. We have to make this happen. And so I want to jump into you understanding the traditional market and in the crypto market, because that also played a part in your move. The transformation, the transition between the old world money and the new school money. So how has the traditional monetary system reset changed your life and knowing where you are now into this new digital era?
So I do want to make it clear that my husband is very well versed in the markets, right? Stock market. He does know how to trade, although we don't trade.
Okay.
So at the time, he was watching, and you got to remember, Trump's president, right? So every time Trump tweeted something, stock market went up. It was numbers go up, stock market wise. So we were able, that was a passive income. My job, I wouldn't call it a passive income because my work involved the separation. You know, I'm separated from the love of my life and my beautiful babies and my 6-month-old. When I went back home, I'm going to get back to your point, but when I went back home 6 weeks later, Tino, he was 7 months at the time, wouldn't even look at me. He wouldn't come to me. He wouldn't look at me. It took a whole day for me to like coerce him to come to mommy. That's how mad he was. So again, the sacrifice. But at the time, Trump was president and there was money in people's pockets, right? He had changed the tax code. And that was a huge win for us because my husband made so much money in the fire department. They thought they were going to be cute and change him to single at a higher rate. They didn't like all the exemptions he had. We're a big family. They didn't like that. So they changed him to single at a higher rate, which allows me to be head of household. So he wins, right? When Trump changed the tax code, that was
Right.
a huge windfall for us as far as
Look at
tax.
that. Look at that.
Yes,
This is
yes, yes. Go ahead.
interesting. Go ahead, finish. This is perfect. You're bringing this in.
Yeah.
Trump is.
So, like,
Go
for
ahead.
those people who ain't like big on Trump, and I don't care either which
Mhm.
way,
Right.
Democrat,
Mhm.
Republican,
Mhm.
I'm going to tell you when Trump's in office, money flows.
What we
Mhm.
say?
It's true. It's true.
Bitcoin now, my husband, when I tell you his fingers on the pulse with Bitcoin, he was a Bitcoin OG at this
Mhm.
point in time,
Mhm. Yeah.
right? 2017, 2018. He had been dealing with this since 2013. He's the OG, triple OG. He knew how to invest in Bitcoin. Even when we took that loss, I feel like, was the loss in 2017 or 2020 when
It
it
was
went back down from 20,000 to three? I had to
It
touch
was
three.
it was around 2020.
2017. Oh, sorry.
2020.
Okay.
It was
Either which way,
Like 2018.
2018.
Around there.
2018, right? I know it's in between that time. Again, he was not phased by it. I
Mhm.
cried because I felt
Yeah.
like we lost all our money,
No, you
right?
still
And everything we
Bitcoin.
worked for.
Mhm.
I'm jet setting from Mexico City to all these different places to get to them. They moved to Cuernavaca, still a different
Mhm.
state, Morelos,
Mhm.
but it's just a 2 hour bus ride home,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So no big deal. However, he was like, no, because he understood the market, he understood the forecasting, and he was explaining it had to touch back there,
Mhm.
right? And he's like, Bitcoin is trying to establish support at certain points. I am not going to speak to it because that is not my wheelhouse, y'all. But because he understood the market and he knew what was going to happen, he was able to persist. And if he's not panicking, then I don't panic,
Mhm.
right? When
Mm.
I see my husband panic, then I'm gonna go nuts. But if he's not panicking, then I have the confidence too to be like, okay, right, I'm gonna ride with you on this. Again, at the time we couldn't do 80/20,
Mhm.
right? And so it was hard and the budget was tight, and my husband is a tight budgeter.
Mhm.
And this is some of the things I want the young ladies, you want a high value man and this, that, and
Mm.
the thing. You gotta go on that journey with him.
Mhm.
And you have to understand that no high value man is going to allow you to squander the money that he's built up, right? So we had to follow a budget. I remember I was home in Cuernavaca with him. I was crying about the money, right? Because we can't do certain things that we want to do and so on and so forth. And he said, Erin, calm down. If you cannot make more money, because I really wanted to make more money, you know what I mean? He said, you just have to save more money.
Mhm.
Right? Just calm down. I'm going to help you do that. Very calm, very patient with me. Um, and I'm like, oh. All right. Oh. Oh, we just have to save more money. Okay. Budget's tight enough, but I'm willing to do that if I can't find an opportunity at this time to make more money.
Mm.
Mhm.
And it
Mm-hmm.
worked, right? Again, sacrifice, discipline, trade offs,
Mhm.
right?
Obedience.
Mhm.
And obedience. Right? But he knows what he's doing. So you
Mm-hmm.
just have to follow that road. So
Mhm.
we started doing better, much better. Now we live in this nice condo in Paris. So, because I'm making a little bit more money at the wealth management firm, I got a little promotion. So that was
Mhm.
great. And then now the problem isn't the money. The problem is I'm away from my children. I'm away from my husband too much. I'm gone
Mhm.
all week. I come home
Mm.
night, right? Because it takes me that long to get home in traffic. It's just
Mhm.
like New York City.
Mhm.
Right? So when I get off of work at 6 on a Friday night, it's a 2 hour bus ride. That 2 hour bus ride is now like a
Mm.
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
I get home at like 10. And then I have to leave 4 o'clock in the morning, Monday morning to go to work. I'm
Mm.
literally getting like 2 days with my children. I'm getting 2 days to be with my husband. And I cry every Monday morning. So now the problem is the separation, not the money.
Mhm.
God is good because I made a friend at the wealth management firm and he left and he found a work from home job.
Oh, good.
Mm.
Me up one way, down the other, and I was able to get in at that job,
Oh.
right? Just because
Mhm.
he was absolutely crazy about me. And
Mhm.
just so y'all know, he's homosexual, so not that type of crazy about me.
Okay.
But he
Mhm.
was like crazy about me as his
You are so
bestie,
funny.
right? So he
Mhm.
got me a job. He wanted me next to him so he could gossip and tell me all the crazy stuff that's
Mhm.
going on there. And now I get to be home with my family. My
Mhm.
husband says, I'm going to get a home for you.
Mhm.
and he finds this beautiful white home. We thought would be Toluca, but it turns out to be here. And it wasn't this house, it's actually a house up the street.
Okay.
And it's the first time since we moved to Mexico that the children have a home, they have a yard.
Mhm.
I have a home, we have a master bedroom. And like he went through so much trouble to make that feel good for us.
Mhm.
Because now, he wants the 80-20 split, right? I'm gonna give you something, but I need you to give me something
Mhm,
now,
mhm,
right?
mhm.
So I said, okay, let's try it. And it worked.
It
It
works.
worked.
Mhm.
Right? And I didn't feel, now, granted, at the time, the dollar was very strong against the peso. So let's go into the monetary thing that you're talking about,
Mhm.
right? The dollar
Mhm.
is extremely strong against the peso, which is the soft currency.
Mhm.
So my salary is like 5x. So he's
Mhm.
doing the 80-20 split. The
Right.
20% lifestyle that we're living off of felt like an 80% lifestyle,
Mhm,
Mm,
mhm,
mhm.
right? Kids, we can take the kids to like water parks and stuff they like to do.
Right.
They do basketball. They're in the community now. We're able to like do things. My hair doesn't look a mess anymore. um, we can buy clothes, nice clothes and stuff like that. I work from home,
Mhm,
so what I need the
mhm,
clothes for, I don't know.
mhm.
But I did have clients that we do FaceTime with and stuff like that. So I do want to look like an executive.
Mhm.
And that worked. Now, let's fast forward from there to today. On
Mhm.
Sunday, May 26th, while I got a new job, right? I work in
Mhm.
tech. So
Mhm.
I get paid
Beautiful.
what a woman executive in tech would get paid. I'm a senior
Beautiful.
manager.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
the dollar is not strong against the peso.
Mm.
We're talking
Mm.
about BRICS offloading hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars in refusal of payment settlements all across the world. And those dollars are slowly coming back to the
Right.
United States shore,
Mhm.
worthless even more than the dollar is worthless, right? The
Mm.
dollar already lost 96, 97% of its value. Huh? 98.5% of its value. When those dollars come back short, how much more of its value is it going to lose?
Mhm.
Inflation sky
This
high.
is what we're talking, right?
Government is printing, I want to say, almost $1 trillion every
Mhm.
quarter. $3 trillion every quarter. This is my
I'm
statistic.
for that.
Y'all watch Joe Rogan, and he got the guy in the background that do all the. I got my statistics in the background, right? Per quarter
Mhm.
in your
That's
lifetime,
a lot.
Mhm.
cannot count to a trillion.
Right. Mhm. Mhm.
So
Wow.
that's how much money that they keep on printing and they keep on printing.
Yep.
And when you
Yeah.
look at the debt clock is going so fast that
Yep.
you can
Yep.
really keep up with it to
Mhm.
call.
Mhm.
So the peso now, Mexico is not a third world country. It
Mhm.
is
Nope.
a well-developed country
Mhm.
for those who are watching the show.
Sure.
Um, and their GDP is steadily rising. Our GDP, the
Mhm.
United
Mhm.
States,
Mm-hmm.
they are now calling the peso the super peso because the
Mm.
dollar
Oh.
is so weak against it. So my salary, which was once 5x, is now probably 2, 3x.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay. The peso's
So
getting
now
a
we
little
have to
stronger.
adjust
Yeah.
the 80-20 rule. Now we
Right.
did adjust it down to 70-30 because the truth of the matter is these children have gotten everything they've needed to get.
Mhm.
Right?
Mhm.
Outside
Mhm.
of the little ones who are still growing, they need sneakers and clothes and stuff like that. But
Mhm.
everybody's got their iPad,
Mhm.
Nintendo Switch,
Mhm.
Xbox, PlayStation
Everything
5.
they can
They have
buy.
everything they could possibly need.
Mhm.
So it is okay to show them the significant beneficial outcome of a bit of discipline and
Yes.
Mhm. Mhm.
sacrifice.
100%.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so, are you in traditional markets too, as it pertains to a 401k, a IRA? I know you said you invested in stocks too as well. I think for our community, as we echoing this information, it's important to diversify your assets. You know, it's not just we're saying just Bitcoin. We're saying that investments is important.
Mhm.
That
Yes.
70-30 rule, that 80-20 rule,
Mhm.
whatever it might
Mhm.
be, even if it's the 30%, you pay yourself first. You
Yes.
have to invest.
Yes. And so I absolutely have a 401k match. My tech firm is based in Buckhead in
Okay.
Atlanta. So we
Mhm.
have a 401k match and we stuff that mug to the gills, honey.
Okay.
If I'm able, I think they said I'm able to invest up to $23,000 a year. We're
Mm-hmm.
going to invest at $23,000 a year. Again, right? We talk about choices and trade offs. When you do that, it brings your salary down, which means
Mhm.
it's less money
Mm-hmm.
in your net. That's
Right.
okay
Mhm.
because we're growing something. It is with
Mhm.
Fidelity. Fidelity recently said that they are going to allow exposure to Bitcoin. So,
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Correct.
first. It hasn't executed yet,
Right.
but I've already contacted them like, hey, I'm gonna stay on top of y'all because I want to be first in line for that exposure.
Mhm.
Well, you touched on something I think was beautiful. It's now 4 years again, and guess who's running again? I think that was powerful. Trump is running against Biden, and things are changing, but they're not changing. Things are constantly the same, right? And for it to be now 4 years again, he's running and now campaigning about Bitcoin and crypto, and the CBDC wanted to
Mhm.
pass that. What is your take on the ETFs? Is this a good play for our time for those who are so-called retail investors versus,
Traditional.
traditional markets? That this is something that's going to help to increase our investments being in this space with the Bitcoin ETFs, the Ethereum ETFs coming up, and possibly a Solana ETF, like
Link. Mhm.
a link as well. So what's your perspective on these changes and the fact that Trump is running and he's like, he's about to go crypto all the way? Let's talk about it. It's a real conversation.
You hear about his army?
Listen, he was in the Bronx, girl.
Really?
He was in the
Oh, I
Bronx.
missed
Trump
that.
was in the
Okay.
Bronx.
Scarsdale.
So yes, he's trying to build an army for real. But as far as the ETFs, I have two takes on it.
Okay.
One, yes, it's good for business,
Mhm.
right? It's going to be. It's good for the markets. It's good for business. It's good for Bitcoin growth. But it's great for liquidity.
Mm-hmm.
But I also believe that it's a situation where the elites are like, if we can't beat them, we have to figure out a way to join them.
Boom.
The way that when that Bitcoin ETF came out, the way they started making sure they had exposure to it,
Mhm.
right? They are gobbling up the Bitcoin faster than, like I say, everyday retailer is able to.
I think even before that, because even before that, the financial heads knew exactly, knew the worth, the strength of Bitcoin. I think they knew, and so they just needed to get all their systems in place, and then they were able to say, okay, you know what, here, come. I don't think that it's a situation where um, the well, also, no, I had read that many wealthy individuals were requesting the asset from the institutions which they invest through. So that's another part of it. Yeah.
I agree.
Mhm. Yeah.
I agree.
So what has
Someone
been
in
your
the oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
someone
The
has said
chat.
in
In
the chat?
chat. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, someone in the chat asked, "Is there any advice if your partner is not into crypto, and for you, it's sort of a deal breaker?" I would,
Mm,
and I can only speak for the women, right? I can't speak if the men aren't interested in it. I don't know what to say. I would have to maybe ask my husband to get in the mindset of a man. But one of the reasons why I did get involved in finance and in crypto is because I thought I could utilize it as a bond. If this is what he
mm.
likes to talk about,
There you
I would
go.
like to talk
Yeah.
to him about it
Mhm. Learn.
intelligently, right? Let me tell y'all something. Side chicks, that's what they do. Mistresses,
Oh,
That's
girl,
they
bring
true.
it
figure
on.
out
That's
I
what
love
it
true.
them.
is she ain't doing, and they learn it, and they
I've
got
heard
it,
that.
right?
I've heard
So
that.
you want to build a portfolio
Love her.
that for the Kevin Samuels people who are watching, where you could go from adjustable 6 to an 8, right? So I thought to myself, like, this is all he talks about. This is all he
Mhm.
talks about.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe I can
Connection.
utilize this as a way for us to bond. And it worked.
Mhm. Mhm.
Right?
Mhm.
It
Awesome.
absolutely worked. I mean, even to this day, that was like 2014, 2015. It's 2024. Sometimes we'll talk until the sun comes up and then be like, damn, we ain't even go to sleep last night. And we got to take these kids places, go to the grocery store and do stuff. But you're just so like, we were talking about this and the markets
Mhm.
and monetary
Mhm.
policy. did you read this? And I read that. And,
Right.
it's a great way to bond. So
Mhm.
if maybe you can utilize that aspect,
Mhm.
right? If you are one of those partners who is not interested in what your partner is interested in, maybe take an interest so you can develop that bond.
Mhm. Mhm.
And it'll stick.
Mhm.
It'll stick. You throw that spaghetti at the wall and it sticks. Oh, it's done. It'll stick. So I think that it's a great angle to take. And how can you be less for learning something new? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And let your partner walk you through it and teach you. And on our show, I talk all the time. I literally sat at his feet and listened because it was so much
Mm,
Mhm.
information
Mhm. Mhm.
that I had
And
to
I don't
learn
think
and understand.
and I don't think it has to be a deal breaker regardless, because
Mhm.
whichever member of the couple is into it, because sometimes one of the couple plays golf all the time, right? And then the wife might not want to play golf, but
Or
you're still
basketball
together.
in this case.
Exactly, you're still together. I mean, granted, try to learn a little bit. If maybe that just doesn't resonate with you, and that's fine. But
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And I think also too, which I love. First of all, I love you keep it real because
Mhm.
when it comes to us, we always echo the truth.
Mhm.
That's in our soul.
Yeah.
And hands down is this. We talk about bonding in relationships. Yeah, you're not going to always connect with
Right.
maybe a passion, but I think that
Respect it.
if you can respect it and be open to it, even seeing, like, for instance, there are some people in their relationships, the man is the finance person. He gets it, he understands it. And if you build that trust, let him ride. Or if it's vice versa. If the woman comes in with the knowledge of financing and she knows how to intuitively build that wealth, there has to be a respect there. Because if it's not respect, whether you decide to sit on the bottom of his feet and just listen to him like, baby, damn, this is amazing, you still have to respect in the relationship.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Let him or her make the money grow, because at the end of the day, you're going to be prosperous. Why
Right,
not do
right.
it, please?
That's
Why
why I
not do it,
said, how
please?
could, how could you do anything less?
Right.
Right? But you're right. Let them run with it if that's
You're
not
fighting
your
the wrong
thing.
fight.
But I would absolutely, we've been married 23 years, so I'm giving y'all OG, triple OG marriage talk,
Listen,
right?
I don't
If
even know
there
her
is
number.
something that you can bond over, find it
Mhm.
and utilize it for your relationship. We want to be that couple where in my rocking chair, I've been married 62 years.
Yeah.
I got 162 grands, great grands. I don't know none of their names.
Mhm.
I want to be that grandmother. Right? So, and in the world today where they say marriages end in divorce,
I think more
Yeah.
it's
statistics.
50-something%.
it's a high, it's wrong. You said it's wrong?
No.
No,
I'm
50
agreeing with
something.
you saying. I think that sometimes when it comes to the mass media, they don't focus on people that's actually doing it. That's why for us, we're glad
They
that
don't.
you're echoing this on our show,
Mhm.
because the mass media will show you different statistics that is not going to empower the community, the people. There are a lot of people, depending on who you decide to hang around, that
Mhm.
are getting married. All of my friends, my sisters, honestly, are all married. I'm the
Yeah, we have
only
a lot of
one that
married
is.
ones too.
I'm the only one right now who's available, but I'm loving myself right now. Thank you very much.
Me too.
And getting my education and my knowledge of my finances, of my well-being, of my mental health, so that when my king meets his queen, he's like, yo, we on the same energy and vibration and frequency. This is an
Agreed.
investment. This investment is in yourself first. So I
Yes.
say to you, yes, statistically, maybe they're showing there's not a lot of marriages, but I know a lot of people who are getting married today, and young people who are getting married, because they understand collaboration, they understand connections, they understand community, nation building, like you're about to talk about. This is what's going to set the change in our time now.
Yes.
Community, get off the ego, master the ego, and don't let it control you.
Mhm.
We got things to
Bitcoin
do.
Shango said available, you say? That's cousin. That's our cousin Shango. I'll make that happen.
Hello, Shango. How are you? Hey. But this is beautiful.
Yeah. So I was wondering, are there, like, what sorts of, not advice, would you give to anyone else who's in the United States or another diaspora who's interested in leaving where they live? what would you say, like, as far as, because here you mentioned you were fortunate enough to find employment in Mexico. That's not the case for most people. Most people don't have that luxury. So, like, if someone was starting today, what would you say, based on this is like learning from your experiences, any pitfalls and everything else? What would you say to them?
The steps.
One, when we were taking our journey, work from home wasn't really a thing, not
Mm.
yet. And then the pandemic allowed that door to be open. So
Mm-hmm.
many countries have benefits for digital nomads. They are looking for
Yeah.
Americans who
Mhm.
work from home. Come to our country. We want you
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Yep.
So definitely what I would do, and sometimes these things require you to do something new, right?
Yeah.
If you're not doing something new, you're doing the same thing over and over and over again, you want the
Mhm.
same results, they say that's insanity. You may have to learn new skills. You
Mhm.
may have to take that low time preference,
Mhm.
learn those new skills so that you can qualify for
Right.
those work from home jobs. And that
Mhm.
way, that opens your door up worldwide,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
As far as your mind can think, from Kuala Lumpur to
Mhm.
Mm.
Greece to Italy
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
to, I never recommend Europe for Black people, but
Mhm.
I'm just saying. Even El Salvador, because we have our sites on El Salvador, right?
Yeah.
El
Yes.
Salvador is saying we have a special visa for 5,000 of the brightest in the United States. Apply
Mhm.
anyway.
Mhm.
Right? I
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
don't know if I'm considered the brightest. I do work in
Mhm.
tech. I'm
Mhm.
intelligent. We do have influence, right? Okay, I'm going to apply anyway. The worst they can say is no, or the worst is they can say is we've already given the 5,000 visas out, but maybe God make them extend it to 10,000 visas because
Mhm.
they got such a great um such a great turnout. I would look at work from home first and try to secure that and then pick your
Mm-hmm.
country. But the one thing that hubby says all the time is don't let it get to the point where you have to flee from the United States because it got so
Yes.
Mm.
Gotta prepare.
Preparation.
Gotta prepare.
Preparation.
Mhm.
don't keep putting it off. If it's something on your heart, yes, it's going to be scary. It's a risk.
Mhm.
But with great risk, sometimes, most of the time, comes great
Great
reward.
reward.
This is true. This is true. You got to prepare. Did you go on exploratory visits to Mexico
Nope.
first, or you just? Oh, okay, okay. Because
Nope.
I'm into exploratory
Sight
visits.
unseen, language not known. We did use a lot of YouTube. It's not the same,
Hmm.
right? But we did do a lot of research via YouTube. I
Hmm.
learned the language the hard way.
Hmm.
I learned when I realized, and this was my own reframing, I said, Mexico City looks just like New York to me. And when I started breaking it up, like how I'm able to break up Manhattan, it got so easy to get around. Now, I said when I left New York, I will never get on a subway ever again. And I've kept that promise to myself.
Oh, okay.
I did not utilize, y'all think the subway in New York is crazy?
It's crazy now.
Mexico City subway, those people are, when I say smushed, they're pushing people off the, I don't know how people don't fall on the tracks. It's nuts. So I'm not doing that. And I would never go underground in Mexico City anyway. But the buses, I learned the buses. I learned, when we taking Ubers. So you
Mm.
can't try to be cute and take me one way because you want to do something. I know the streets.
Mhm.
My
Mhm.
son,
Mhm.
I got him a paid internship at the job. So your influence is
Ooh.
very important as well.
Yes.
Mhm. Mhm.
But I also taught him how to get around Mexico City.
Okay.
Right.
17,
Mm.
Oh, okay. Okay.
17
traveling
too.
around Mexico City with his paid
Yeah.
internship, his school stuff he had to do. And now he knows Mexico City blindfolded. And we just broke
Awesome.
the areas up. This is the Upper East Side. Okay,
Mhm.
this is Soho. Okay,
Mhm.
this is Midtown. I just have it broken up in my mind with the different colonials, so now I know how to get around it.
Yeah.
It's just kind of framing it on something that's a little bit more relatable to me. It's just as
Mhm.
much Spanish in Mexico City as there is in Manhattan. I have to tell myself that Manhattan has hella Spanish,
That's
Right.
true.
Spanglish, whatever you want to say. It's really not that different. And once I was able to knock some of those walls down, things became simpler. They became more easy to
Mhm.
handle, more
Right.
easy to face, more easy to confront.
Right. What was the adjustment like for your children moving to Mexico? Because that's like a lot of kids have their friend network already established and so forth. And, what was it like for them? And how do they feel now being there?
So, funny thing is, children are very adjustable.
Hmm.
They are
They
the
are.
most adjustable creatures on the planet, I think.
Mhm.
From the 6 month old all the way up at the time, 17-year-old. He's now 23, 17, 12, 13, and Tino's 7. Y'all seen Tino wandering around in the back.
Mhm.
It was like an adventure to them, right? They learning Spanish. They're meeting people on the playground, learning Spanish. I call it playground Spanish. But because of PlayStation and Xbox, they
Mhm.
already had their friends all over the world,
You see,
Yeah,
this
I've
is
heard about that. Hmm.
yeah.
right? So that was easy breezy. To this day, Reggie, he has Xbox. He's got his friends in Texas, California, and I think there's one like in the Midwest somewhere. And he's been talking to them since he was like 11.
The,
So it really wasn't that adjustment, but they
yeah.
got the opportunity to make new friends. They play basketball, they're in the community.
Hmm.
People in the community know them. They play basketball. Reggie's an excellent basketball player. He's got recruiters looking for him. Sean plays basketball with them. Junior plays basketball. Tino was friendly with little children, but when you're 7, you play with anybody, and the other little 5, 6, 7 year olds will play with you. You never see each other again, but if you do, y'all are gonna play together. So
Yeah.
that adjustment was to me relatively easy. But
Hmm.
one of the things I will say is that we are our own tribe. So
Hmm.
it's not the same as a couple who's maybe moving here with one child, right?
Right.
That
Hmm.
Yep.
Hmm.
that's going to be a harder adjustment curve.
Hmm.
They have each other, so it don't matter if they have their friends or not. They have each other. They can play with each other. They do fun stuff with each other. They can go out to eat with each other. They can go to the movies with each other. So for families that have multiple children, the adjustment should be relatively easier.
That makes sense.
It does. So, being that you're a family and I know you guys work together as a unit, I know you're going to also, Justin, I believe he has his own show coming up. How do you stay informed with the new trends in cryptocurrency? Being that it's in Mexico, is it a challenge, or because of the digital world, you're kind of informed and you're busy too? So how do you mold that together to stay informed and with the trends?
So hubby is key on that. Hubby has a consultation business. So yes, he has his clients and stuff during the day, but he has a lot more flexibility to stay on top of that. When I tell y'all, I mean, he's like a drill sergeant. He stays on top of that. Hubby's up at 3:30 in the morning. That's our new quarterly goal. I'm up with him at 3:30 in the morning. So we get a lot of productivity done way before it's even time for me to log on for work. We have watch lists. That's very important, you guys, to have a watch list. Since your phone and your computer want to have an algorithm and show you what Diddy's doing and show you what this is doing
Mm-hmm.
and show you what that's doing, change the algorithm to your phone to show you what's going on in crypto, what's going on in Bitcoin. We're heavy in precious metals, so we're always on top of what's
Yeah.
going on in the world of precious metals. And that way, as soon as we open our phone, that's all that's coming up first. A lot of times I don't always know what's going on in the entertainment world right away, right? It takes time to get to us because we are on top of crypto. Now, are we on top of every single project that
No.
comes out? No. Are we on top of every single coin, altcoin? No. We are Bitcoin maxis. We're precious metals maxis. We do have XRP. We have Solana. We have Cardano. We have a
Okay.
few other coins, but we would rather, yeah, we have H bar. We would
Yep.
rather kind of have our focus on Bitcoin and
Hmm.
precious metals,
Hmm.
and then our cousins keep us up on all of the great projects
Yeah. See it.
that are coming out. I have a homework assignment by Dylan that I haven't done yet, but I'm going to do. I'm supposed to be researching a project that he had mentioned to me.
Okay.
So that's how we keep up with that. And the digital world is great for that. It's some of the other stuff that that we
Mhm.
miss,
Have you
right?
gotten to
Sometimes.
the point?
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm just wondering, what's the climate like for cryptocurrencies in Mexico, and are you at the point where you're spending any of your cryptocurrencies? And then what made you choose El Salvador? I mean, I know that they have made it legal tender,
Yep.
but what, like, all of that? Go.
So one, Mexico City does have a huge Bitcoin centric kind of
Oh,
vibe. There's a
okay.
young lady named Lori Bitcoin. She's been on our show at least 3 times, and she's heavy with her connections and stuff there, right? There is a restaurant called the Bitcoin Embassy Bar. Hubby and I use for date night anytime we go to Mexico City. It's not the food is great, right? I'm not saying that the food's not great, but it's not about the food. It's just about the vibe. They have meetups
Mhm.
Yes.
every Thursday at
Mhm.
9. We'll go
Mhm.
to a meetup. We can challenge ourselves in Spanish because most of the technical terms are in English anyway.
Okay.
Get to physically meet people who are traveling and who do
Uh-huh.
want to be a part of the Bitcoin centric vibe. The
Okay.
problem is there
Mhm.
is no black and brown coalition. I'm scream that
Ah,
from
yeah.
the mountain I showed y'all earlier, right? They are about their homogenous society, and
Of
Mhm.
course.
unfortunately, we have to be about our own community,
Mhm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
When Martin Luther King, and I don't care who cancels me when I say this, when Martin Luther King said, "I fear I have gathered my
Bill,
children in
go
a
ahead.
burning," he was telling the truth.
Mhm.
Like segregation doesn't always work,
I know. I've talked about it. I've talked about it
right?
because,
So
yeah,
we have to be, if you,
the education system, especially.
I'm sorry, not segregation, integration. I said
Anyway,
Yeah.
I know,
segregation.
I know what you're talking
Yeah.
about.
Integration.
I know what you're
Mm-hmm.
talking about. Mhm.
Right? We have to care about our own community. They're not interested in helping. They think we have too much already. I'm
Mhm.
speaking the truth,
Mhm. You
right?
are.
Mexico's a very wealthy country. They treat us like kings and queens, but they have this kind of thing where they feel like, one, if you have money, it's some type of criminal activity. You cannot be a bright and shining star and make money.
In
You're
Mexico, this is their thought. This is their thought. Is that what you're
this
saying?
is
Okay,
yeah,
interesting. Okay.
right? They look at you as nefarious. He's a
Mhm.
Don, I'm a Danya. We got this big drug trade, right? It's ridiculous. Or how about I'm highly educated, he's highly educated, and we know how to run businesses? No.
Mhm.
So, two, when they're working that Bitcoin centric circuit, y'all have too much as is. You're from America, you have everything you need, you guys are rich. We have to worry about ourselves.
Mhm.
It's like that in all of those other communities.
Mhm.
We have to take care of our own,
It's
right? And
true.
I'm talking to somebody, we lived in Costa Rica, same thing,
Okay.
right?
I was
Mm-hmm.
wondering if you had been
Yeah.
anywhere
Yeah. Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
Okay.
Just want to give a
Costa Rica,
shout out to.
in Mexico, we have traveled to other places.
Mhm.
Maybe El Salvador can be the Bitcoin melting pot, but we got to forget about melting pots. New York is a melting pot, and the
Yeah.
communities are still
Yeah.
right.
In
You got
pocket.
Spanish Harlem, that's where they at. You got
Yep.
Washington Heights, that's where they at. You got the South Bronx, that's where they at.
It's
So you
interesting.
got East New York, that's where we at.
Yep.
You you got to understand that we got to do what we got to do for us,
And
Mhm.
be
It's
okay
true.
right?
with it.
And you
Stop
know,
the trying to
all over the
integrate
place.
and all
Yeah. Yeah.
that. It doesn't work.
And also, you need to go somewhere where you feel welcome. You're saying that you had a really good experience with the people in Mexico, and
We
since,
do, but when it comes to the money part, that Bitcoin centric part,
yeah,
we ain't part
yeah,
of that.
another story.
Mm-mm. We
It's
ain't part of
interesting.
that. And you
During
can feel the difference.
yeah,
Mm.
that's important.
You don't look like us, and we don't look like you, and that's a big thing,
I
right?
mean,
When they
that's
say a
here in
picture's
the
worth
United
a
States.
thousand words,
Uh
you
huh.
are a symbol.
Yeah. Hmm.
You
The way
are.
you dress, the way your hair is,
Your
the way you wear
trademark.
your jewelry, you are a symbol. And that symbol doesn't resonate with me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the problem. So when it comes to what y'all are doing,
Mhm.
the people who you are saving, they need you.
Right.
And I'm not telling you to not help any other group, but I'm
Oh,
saying when
no.
you are in the world, that Pan Africanist doesn't
Yeah.
exist.
Yeah, yeah.
It
Wait,
doesn't
no.
work.
While we are focused on Black and Brown people, we are open to anybody, and so there are other
Right,
non-Black and Brown people. They
right,
need to be allies of people of color, though. So
right,
because historically, that
Yeah.
also what led us to, in a sense, our way of segregation, integration, because there are people outside who get our mission that soulfully
they
might
do,
outside,
right? And you can deal
right?
with those
Right,
individuals.
individuals.
I'm
They
just
might look
saying,
like this,
soul
but
don't
their
work.
soul is color saying, I feel you.
Right.
I'm for this collective. I'm for the movement. I want to give a shout out because there's a lot of beautiful people here. Angel from Disruptive Dow. I want to give a shout out to JOG. Alexander from BK Crypto. If I can't see because I have a contact number, not my glasses. I just want to give a shout out and thank you for the comments. Just supporting this mission that we have and echoing your truth, because you echoing your truth is going to bring a ripple effect around the world to make changes. This is why we're speaking with Erin Simons and her husband, her family, because they are making changes. It's not just a conversation. I want to do it. It's that I did it, and this is the end result. And not that it's ending, because it's still beginning. You still have a mission. You still didn't
Yes,
complete it, right? But you have spiraled up and leveled up. And I think it's so important that our community see, not propaganda, that is actually really real and it can happen, right? Because it's not enough of us showing on real TV that we're actually making those changes, making those
right.
adjustments, that you can live abundantly and prosperously in community and marry with your king and queen and children.
Yes,
We are
That's
Black
right.
and powerful. We are
yes,
radiant. And so it's for us to see, because this is the window of the world, your eyes. And so with us seeing it, we know it's possible.
right.
So if you're out there in the world thinking about, like, should I consider moving abroad? It's possible. It's possible. You can do it, you know?
And
And
anybody who has questions about it, assets.arbitrage@gmail.com. We
That's
answer every
right.
single email. We'll get on a FaceTime with you. We don't charge you or anything like that. But we'll take the time to talk to you. Simon and I are writing a book called The Extended Five Flag Theory. So basically, it's traveling, whether
Mm.
you're or not, it's traveling with intention and the flags that you should be planting in these different countries, right? The
yes,
I
social
love it.
network. We are staples in this community. The mayor is our neighbor. The police commissioner makes sure that the police don't bother us, but they also make sure that there's no trouble on the street. We are make sure that we are friends with the people in the community who make decisions. My vote don't make a difference here, but you know what? Let me go knock on the mayor's door and tell him I'm not happy with something that happened at the supermarket. Change is going to come, right?
there you
Right.
So there's certain ways that you can utilize your positioning in the world as you are, whether it's intentionally traveling or you move there. And you don't have to move there permanently. We did that. You don't have to do that. You can live there for a month, 3 months, 3 weeks. It's up to you, like what you would like to do, what your flexibility is, what your obligations are. But we want too many Black people travel for for fun. I'm gonna use that
Yep.
word, right? I
Right.
ain't gonna use the DMX term. I'm gonna say for fun. It's a family show, and we want more Black people to travel with intention. I'm not saying don't travel for leisure. You absolutely need to travel for leisure. We travel for leisure, but we also travel for business. We travel with intention. We went to El Salvador with the intention to scout it out, almost Bible like, to see if that could be our next step,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
We would love to be in the vibe of Bitcoin centric. And y'all don't be copying my Bitcoin centrics, copywritten, trademarked. I'm getting there.
Listen,
Right?
we
We
following
want
you.
to be in the vibe. We would like to, we're hodlers. You had asked that question earlier. We're hodlers. So we typically don't use our Bitcoin unless there's some super duper emergency.
right.
We are high income generators. So we typically have whatever we need on hand to do what we need to do. But we're hodlers. And hubby's definitely a Bitcoin maxi. Can somebody ask if we can use Bitcoin for expenses here? No,
Okay.
they're just not. The town that I live in, they're barely using debit cards. It's cash heavy,
Mm.
Wow.
Mm.
Wow. Okay.
right? So there is a whole world out here that isn't even caught up to Google Pay, Apple Pay. Are you out
Mm.
of your mind? What kind of magic is that, right? Satan, get behind me. They're like, who is that? No. Now, Mexico City, yes. Right? When you go to the Bitcoin Embassy bar, you can pay for your dinner with Bitcoin, Litecoin, Doge, and there's two more I'm forgetting.
Okay.
Awesome.
But Solana, I think Cardano, I think
Yep.
H
Awesome.
bar. But she has a Bitcoin ATM, and she's
Okay.
had that for a long time, Lori
I love
Bitcoin.
it.
Shout out to her. But as far as like your phone bill, your rent, can I buy some candy? Mm-mm.
We got
They're
something for that.
yeah, they're not even using debit cards here.
We
Like when
got
we go
something
to the
coming
gas
up for that.
station, and Pemex is a large
What we call Pemex?
yeah, Pemex is the gas station here. It's a monopoly.
Okay.
You have to use cash. Now, there's certain Pemexes that I can't use my card, but the ones here in town, we have to use cash because it's not formatted for international
Cards.
currency.
I
Like
understand.
that's how far behind a lot of these countries are. The education just isn't there. El
Right.
Salvador is relatively smaller country, significantly smaller than Mexico. Mexico's gigantic, and
Mm-hmm.
the population density is out of this world,
Right.
right?
Right.
So the education just isn't there. Lori Bitcoin, she's got certain parts of Mexico City down. There's a whole country outside of Mexico City, right? That's like saying, oh, we got it down in New York City, but what about the rest of the United States?
Yes. Before
Okay.
we jump out of here, I just want to echo some things that's been coming up. I'm a financial counselor in the daytime, and I know a lot of our clients now are in that retirement phase. They're in their 50s, 60s, and they're seeing that Social Security is not happening. And I want to get your point of view. Since you're in financial management, a lot of them are like, it's too late. Oh my God, I didn't plan enough. I didn't make my investments. What do you have to say to those clients who are really near retirement and trying to figure out how do I really create this environment for myself? I feel it's too late. What's your
One,
thoughts on that?
right? I would never say it's too late, but I would say you have to have a low time preference, right? Too many of us are trying to flip 1,000 into 100,000.
Mm,
And
Right.
that's the mindset. It's
mm-hmm.
too much of a high time preference mindset. How can I make $200,000 right now doing some crypto? It's like you can't. That's
Right.
not how wealth is built,
There you
right?
go. Thank
It
you.
also requires sacrifice. I'm going to ask, right? Do you have 10 do you have, and I wouldn't say Birkin bags because they're really expensive, but do you have 10 Louis Vuitton bags, or do you have some type of shopping habit? Let's look at your habits, right? Because maybe we can take the excess of that if you're willing to make some sacrifices and put it away. And do you have a 401k? Well, I haven't been utilizing my 401k. You would be shocked at how quick that 401k will start to build up. Some
That's
people
true.
have their 401k managed at 1%. No, nothing's going in there really. But
Mm-hmm.
if we can make some habit changes, maybe we can ramp that up to 7%, right? How much do you shop at Amazon? Y'all would be shocked at how much people shop
Yep.
at Amazon.
Yep.
I love Amazon too. I only get 2 Amazon purchases a month now. Might as well put me on probation. I get 2 a month. So I have to make my purchases worthwhile. But again, that's the choice and the trade-off you have to have for a long time preference, low time preference,
That's
right?
true.
Mm,
It's not too late, but we have to make significant changes. You have to be willing to make those changes. And that's the part that gets hung up where they feel like it's too late. They don't want
yeah.
to change.
Amen. Amen.
Amen. Thank
Okay.
you.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We've got to have Erin back,
Of course we
and we'll
do.
have hubby back as well. We'll have hubby who's in the background there. We'll have him on, have you guys on as a couple on the other show. But we will see you next week on Echo. Anyone looking to, if you haven't already done so, please follow us. And we look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you so much, Erin.
Wait,
This
and
is great.
let
What?
the people know how they can follow you, how they can chime into your YouTube chat because it's
Sure.
powerful. Let them know, give them information, please.
Oh, okay. So we too have a show Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 p.m. Simon Family Investment Ventures. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Twitter. My Twitter name is weird, but I saw a few people in the chat say that they're now following me.
Okay.
So we appreciate the new followers. If you guys are on the Gentlemen of Crypto Network, you can find us there. And of course, I'm Erin Simon on Facebook. So, no, not 7 p.m. Mexico time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for everyone here in the chat. We do everything at Eastern Standard Time.
Okay.
But we assets.arbitrage@gmail.com. We answer every single email. If you are thinking about moving out of the country and you just want to chat with us, we will absolutely do a quick FaceTime chat. We'll talk to you as long as you like. If you have questions about Bitcoin, if you have questions about stacking your silver ounces, stacking gold ounces, how to get started, we are willing to take the time out to help you. I wish we could be boots on the ground like my squad. I love them so much because they're boots on the ground. But unfortunately, we do have to be virtual, but we are willing to help anybody who needs it. So thank you so much for having me on the show.
And one thing before we leave, what is one thing you want to echo to the world today? One thing you want to echo to the world today?
One thing I want to echo to the world today is that your journey to greatness has to be low time preference, meaning you have to take your time. It's not something that's going to happen quickly. And you have to be willing to have choices and trade offs. You got to trade off the convenience. You got to trade off the things you like sometimes for the things you absolutely desire. And those are the things that get you significant beneficial outcomes.
Thank you. Oh, well, tune in next Sunday. We're going to move from 11 a.m. to 12 Eastern because it just makes more sense. And we see you there. For our next just coming up is going to be JOG. JOG.
Oh, the Dumbbell Girls! Those are our cousins.
Yes. So stay tuned.
All right. Thank you
Woo!
so much.
Thank you.
Do I stay on?
Yeah, you see one.